Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're brand new. And I also wanted to say personally a big thank you for taking your own time out to check out this review. Now, this movie review is simply titled Why YouTubers Love Back to the Future. Now, if you guys know me by now, or if you're brand new here, my favourite movie is Back to the Future, and I've also got it tattooed on my arm as part of a half sleeve tattoo. Now, a couple of years ago, I will leave a link also in the description box if you're interested, I actually covered the movie in depth for a full 20+ minute video, and when it came to the Michael J Fox filmography, which by the way, if you want to catch up on any of the outings I've done so far, if you've missed any, a link is also in the description box for a full playlist also. But in the Michael J Fox filmography, when it comes to the Back to the Future movies, I personally don't want to sit here and ramble for 20 minutes to you guys on why I love the movie and what it means to me. I've covered this a lot in my Back to the Fan series. I've covered this in the solo Back to the Future movie review. I've also covered this in just Back to the Future content on my channel in general. So I thought, okay, well, how can I make this a little bit different? And that's when an idea hit me. I've got so many YouTube friends and just generally really good friends that I want to hear why they love the movie or why they like the movie. And I thought, well, it gives those guys a chance to come onto the channel for if you've seen them before on here or if they're brand new, because just to let you guys know, also there is some new YouTuber friends that I've got in this video who are going to be on future collaborations of the Michael J Fox filmography. So keep an eye out as they are going to be appearing in the next coming weeks for sure. So yeah, my idea is let me hand it over to my YouTube friends and let them tell you why they like or love the movie, whether it's their first time seeing this or whether it's their 100th time seeing Back to the Future. At the end of the day, my channel, I love to showcase the movie, but I also love to showcase fans and my YouTube friends and give them a platform to speak out about this movie also. So what you're about to see now is every single one of my YouTube friends, about maybe 90 seconds maximum or up to 2 minutes, talk individually about why they love Back to the Future. So I will catch up with you guys at the end of this review, but in the meantime, let me hand it over to our first guest.
Why do I love Back to the Future? It's in my top favorite films of all time. I'm a huge fan of Back to the Future. Just the music, the direction from Robert Zemeckis, that awesome score, this once in a lifetime, hit it out of bottle, lightning in the bottle cast, which is Michael J Fox, Leah Thompson, Christopher Lloyd, and we can go on and on and on. This film is lightning in a bottle. It made me fall in love with filmmaking, and how cool is it that a time machine is made out of a car? That's just so creative. Robert Zemeckis stuck his foot in this movie, man, and you know, it's damn near a perfect movie. I would say perfect. What's a 15-year-old doing hanging around an old wide-eyed scientist in the 80s? Hey, I don't know. We didn't ask questions back then. It wasn't weird. It was just Back to the Future. And now, you know, I got plenty of memorabilia. How you not going to love that guy there, huh? Look at that guy, huh? How you not going to love a Michael J Fox, a cute little Michael J Fox, which catapulted him into his career. I have all type of memorabilia from Back to the Future. I got the Smithsonian of all posters of all time. The Back to the Future original poster from 1985 is my prized possession out of all the collectibles I own. Thank you once again, Mike, for having me on. Back to the Future is one of my, very close to my heart. It's one of my top 3 films, like I said, of all time. This is a forever classic, lightning in the bottle, perfect film. So thanks once again, Mike. Peace.
This was my first time watching Back to the Future, and I could see why people consider it to be a classic. The concept of time travel is always entertaining to me because you can take it in any direction. It could be scary, it could be funny, action-packed, whatever you want. Back to the Future goes the more comedic route, and it does so with finesse because I was laughing throughout the entire thing, and mostly due to the brilliant performances by Michael J Fox and Christopher Lloyd. They both brought the characters Marty McFly and Doc Brown to life, and I couldn't get enough of them. I was especially impressed with the very young Michael J Fox. He's a great actor, even back then. He made Marty McFly both cool and kind-hearted, because Marty was that guy that every teenage boy wanted to be. Confident, skilled with a guitar and skateboard, and he had a stick-it-to-the-man attitude. At the same time though, Michael J Fox gives Marty opportunities to show his vulnerable side, because Marty has insecurities. He cares deeply about his friends and his family. He's willing to stick his neck out to help others. This adds more depth to his character, it makes him likable, and it makes it easier for me to enjoy the movie. Marty McFly is just a great dude. I mean, he did check out other women right in front of his girlfriend that one time, but other than that, great dude.
Back to the Future, I'm gonna get right to the point. Back to the Future was that motherfucking movie. I can curse on your channel, right? If not, then you can bleep it out. But I'm gonna say it again. Back to the Future was that motherfucking movie. Alright, saw this back in 85 when it dropped in the video store. Did not get to see this in the movies, but they had the mom and pop video stores back in the day. This is before Blockbuster. You just had a couple of local video stores, and when I walked in, it was a big cardboard, like life-size cutout of, you know, the iconic poster of Michael J. Fox looking at the watch. You see the DeLorean in the background. My pops, of course, was cool with the video store owner, so we rented the shit, took it home, watched it, had a blast. And now, for a 6-year-old kid to keep my attention, that says a lot. And very few movies did that back then, but Back to the Future was one of them. Love this joint. Best time travel movie of all time. Does the Avengers count? Even if the Avengers did count, yeah, nothing tops Back to the Future. Marty McFly going back in time to save his pops from being a wimp, from being a pencil neck geek, and missing out on the love of his life, Lorraine, who had the hots for Marty. And this movie was so popular, hell, it's spawned the Universal Studios ride, which I got on quite a few times. You know, they had a cartoon. Yeah, so Back to the Future was large, man. I'm not too much a fan of the sequels, but that first one, lightning in a bottle, magnifique, creme de la creme, as Q Reviews says. Nothing negative I can say about this. Crispin Glover, Leah Thompson, who I was crushing on, Michael J. Fox, who was 25 years old, still playing a teenager, Biff, who was the second greatest 80s movie villain besides Johnny Lawrence. What can I say? Back to the Future gets an A+ in my book. The sequels, not so much. But I love this movie.
I'm so happy to be part of this conversation about Back to the Future and what it means to everyone. I think I'm on the younger end of this group of wonderful critics and cinephiles. And so to me, it's just a really special thing to see the impact Back to the Future has had on the generation before me and how it's proved to be so timeless and influential still. I still see kids dressed up as Marty McFly every Halloween, and you can still see its impact in film, whether it's the story structure, the humor, the time travel mechanics. It's really rare for something like that to come along, like a really special thing. It's one of those things that makes you feel lucky to be witnessing that. Not to mention the rewatchability, the emotional beats, the iconic themes, the memes. So I feel really lucky to be passionate about this at a time where I can really be seeing all of that play out, the influence of such incredible films like Back to the Future.
There are several movies, in my humble opinion, that are perfect. For instance, Return of the Jedi, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. Nonetheless, one of my favorite movies of all time that I feel that is perfect, Back to the Future. I remember growing up, I wanted to get a DeLorean because of that movie. And Michael J. Fox was such a big hit on TV, and for him to jump from TV to the big movie screen with a big hit like that, that summer was magical. Fun cast, relatable characters, and Robert Zemeckis, he comes from the school of Steven Spielberg, man. This movie is almost perfect. And my favorite line in the whole movie comes from Doc. Damn! Damn, damn! Back to the Future is a timeless classic. Never get tired of watching it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna watch it right now. Have fun.
Back to the Future. I mean, what is there to say that has not already been said? This is without a doubt one of the most iconic films of all time, with some of the most iconic characters of all time, some of the most iconic imagery ever put on screen, and some of the most iconic music to ever be attached to a film. You really can't ask for more when it comes to a blockbuster that has characters, heart, emotion, charm. It's silly, it's fun to watch. Overall, this is a very memorable movie in and of itself, and every time I revisit this movie, it's always a great time. And just to be able to celebrate it and recognize how long it's been around and how crucial it's been to so much as far as pop culture and just, you know, sci-fi in general, it's just amazing to look back on. Overall, without a doubt, Back to the Future is one of the most iconic films films of all time, with some of the most memorable moments in all of cinematic history, with some of the most iconic characters of all time. I mean, again, what else can I even say about Back to the Future that hasn't already been said? It's amazing.
Hey Mike, thank you so much for inviting me back on your channel to talk about why I like and I love Back to the Future. I mean, what isn't there to love about this movie? It's absolutely fantastic. It's so fun. It's energetic. There's a great freaking script to it. Has a great cast. We have a great dynamic duel between Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. Their chemistry, oh, it's just absolutely wonderful. The mere concept of the movie, the score, did I say that already? I don't know, but the score. I just saw this movie for the very first time about 3 or 4 years ago. And when I was watching it, man, did I have a big old grin on my face. And it was also very sad because I can't believe that I waited this long to watch it. I'm gonna blame my 2 older sisters because I got 2 older sisters that have seen this movie, and for some reason or another they never really introduced me to it, and for some reason or another I just never saw it. Ugh. So can't fully blame them, I guess. But yes, if you've never seen this movie, I feel that at any age you can definitely just jump on board, check it out. You're gonna love it. It's definitely worth the hype. This movie is absolutely perfect. One of the best, if not the best, time traveling film there is. And I mean, it is a classic for a reason. It's beloved. It's great, you guys. So yeah, those are my quick reasons on why I love Back to the Future. Bye.
Whenever I watch any movie, read any book, watch any TV show, I'm always looking at the story. I'm looking at the characters and their functions when it comes down to how they contribute to the plot. Back to the Future is one of the rare cases where everything fits like a glove. For instance, when I think about Back to the Future and I think of the one thing that every character in the movie can knowingly or unknowingly provide some kind of perspective to, that's time travel, you know? If Marty McFly never went back in time, then he wouldn't have ever run into all these people. So without knowing it, he's affecting everybody and everything. And this is not a good thing, right? Because he's stepping on all these butterflies and changing the course of history as he does it. So he needs to go back to the future to fix it. But the next thing that I want to know is why now? You know, what's the rush? Why does he have to do it? Why can't he just sit back and enjoy the fact that he's in the past because time travel is cool? A lot of other time travel movies can't really answer that, but Back to the Future can. Because if he doesn't go back to the future right now, he ceases to exist, which is a huge threat. So it has that sense of urgency, which I love about Back to the Future. Marty McFly is the protagonist. The antagonist is time itself. That's what's written to be diametrically opposed to the protagonist's goal of going back to the future. I think about Doc Brown as the influence character. What the heck is that? I mean, that's a mindset. That's an attitude, right? The main character has one attitude towards something. The influence character has the opposite mindset. They might both want the same thing. They just have different ideas on how to get there. Marty McFly wants to tell Doc about the future in order to save his life, but Doc Brown's like, no, don't tell me. They're butting heads, right? A perfect story has these two characters, and one person bends to the idea of the other. And in this case, Doc Brown eventually caves and listens to Marty. So they have a perfect main character, they have a perfect influence character, they have a perfect protagonist, they have a perfect contagonist, which was Biff, by the way, and a perfect antagonist, which is time itself. All these moving parts are coming together like a glove. Not many movies, not many TV shows, not many books can say that they have a perfect narrative structure based off of all these different moving parts. But Back to the Future is one of the very, very, very few examples that I use as to a perfect narrative structure. It has no right to have it, but it has a perfect narrative structure.
So Back to the Future means a lot to me because it's one of the pillars of filmmaking, right? So I come from a background of filmmaking, and when you're looking into films as a young kid like I did, you have this sense of Back to the Future, right? And people talk about how it's one of the best scripts ever written, you know, like structurally, like it's completely bulletproof, and it's one of the models that you have to look after and everything. So it's always had this mystique around it. And then I watched it when I was you know, like a teenager, like early high school year. Well, maybe before that. I was really big into special features. So, you know, you'd get like the trilogy box set. You know, I remember back in the DVD days. So I got the trilogy box set, and then you would see the behind the scenes. And the story that always stuck out to me was the story of Bob Gale and how he came up with the idea of Back to the Future, about how he was cleaning out his attic And then he found his dad's yearbook, and he realized that his dad was his class president. And so that it came to mind of, would my father and I have been friends back in high school? And that idea always fascinated me. I love hearing the origin stories, kind of the birth of these great movies, right? That's kind of a thing that I like to do. So that's a story that always stuck in my head, and something that's always kind of inspired me. I love to go back to the movies just because they're so inspiring. They were so ahead of their time. The performances are great. I love the way that the movie's paced. Other than that, I mean, back to the 50s, period pieces, you can never go wrong with period pieces unless you do them wrong, obviously. But I really enjoy the first Back to the Future. It has a warm place in my heart, and I can't wait to go watch it again.
What I love about Back to the Future. Well, I gotta share this story about Back to the Future. As a kid, Back to the Future was one of the first stories that caught my eye on the subject of time travel. I think this and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban were my first time travel stories. Of course, Prisoner of Azkaban, it was only in the third act of the story. This was like the first full time travel movie I think I actually watched as a kid. And I was so blown away by the concept of doing time travel through a DeLorean car, going back in time to the 50s and all that stuff. It excited me to learn more about this concept, and I wouldn't be a fan of time travel and sci-fi movies without Back to the Future. Of course, it's an incredible movie with iconic characters, a career performance from Michael J. Fox, and one of Robert Zemeckis' best films. I love Back to the Future. Thank you, Mike.
Hey guys, I just want to say a big thank you to Mike for having me in this video about the Back to the Future franchise. So let's get into this. These movies were so iconic to me when I was younger, and they send a great message. You know, you have Marty McFly's character played by Michael J. Fox, and Doc Brown's character played by Christopher Lloyd. And Back to the Future fans, please don't hate me for saying this, but I get a strong vibe of Rick and Morty with these two. And I say that in a positive way because one, I love Rick and Morty, and two, the way how these two interact is pretty similar to that as well. But the reason that I really love these movies is because they teach you such great life lessons if you really look at them. One of the biggest ones is you make your own future. Despite of what happens, despite of what you might encounter, despite what people might try to do to you or say to you or get you to do, you make your own future. You are the one that's in control of your future. Yes, there's extenuating circumstances that can happen, but at the same time, you are the one that is in control of your future. If you want to do something, you can. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So that's one of the main things that I took away from it. And another thing is, it's just kind of sad to say, but it's also the fact that like our parents were once two individual people who had dreams and aspirations and goals, you know, and unfortunately having a kid can sometimes, if not majority of the time, take away from that. And that's something to think about as well, is that, you know, when you decide to have a kid, or sometimes you don't even decide to have one, it just happens, your life is altered. Your life is altered forever. And whether you choose to continue living in that alteration or you try to go back and do those goals, it's going to be even harder because now you have an extra person to take care of. So that's another thing that I thought about. But overall, I love the idea of time travel and the whole DeLorean car and how Marty McFly tried to make sure that his parents fell in love, you know, and it's just such a great installment of movies that they can be matched, but they can't be matched in that realm, if that makes sense. So I just want to say that I really love these movies, mainly for those two factors. Thank you, Mike, for having me on this video, and I look forward to being in another video with you, my man.
Before I say anything else, I want to say thank you to Mike for having me here today. And today we are talking about Back to the Future. So I'm gonna give you my take. So the first time I watched Back to the Future was way back in the day when I was a little kid. Yeah, I mean, I liked the movie, but being a little kid, I couldn't appreciate it more like I do now. Back to the Future is a classic in different aspects. For instance, everybody knows what the poster looks like. The future is also a classic when we're talking about characters. I mean, Marty and Doc, everybody knows who they are. Also, it's a classic when we're talking about music. I mean, that theme of Back to the Future, bam, 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 bam. I mean, everybody knows that. I like the chemistry between Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox. The movie has a very good production design, and also I like the humor that you find throughout the movie. At the end of the day, Back to the Future is a movie that I like, it's a movie that I enjoy, it's a movie that still holds up. Back to the Future is a movie that I can watch anytime, no problem.
No problem.
Mike, thank you so much for having me. Thank you guys for watching, and I am gonna see you guys very soon in another video or in another collab, whatever happens first. And until then, chocca la mano.
So for me, I absolutely love Back to the Future. It's one of my favourite films of all time. I'd rate it a 10 out of 10. It's a masterpiece, and if you've not seen it, you definitely got to do yourself a favour and watch it. And I could spend hours and hours talking about how much I love this film, but instead, I'm going to describe Back to the Future in 3 words. The word I would describe Back to the Future is revolutionary, because I don't think there were any of the time traveling films at the time, or if they were, they definitely weren't as successful as Back to the Future ever was. And it also brought Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox into the A-list of celebrities as well. To describe Back to the Future for me would be fun. I have an absolute fun time every time I watch it. I love all the different characters interacting with each other, and it's just fun to see all these different time traveling scenarios, whether they go back in the past or whether they go into the future. It depends on which Back to the Future film you're watching. So for me, the third word I would describe Back to the Future would be magical. Every single thing about this film for me is magical, whether it's the really fun and enjoyable characters or the really amazing and unique story. And the score for the film is absolutely incredible as well. So the 3 words I would describe Back to the Future are revolutionary, fun, and magical. Thank you very much for having me on this video, Mike. It's been an absolute pleasure, and don't forget to subscribe to Mike. He's an incredible YouTuber, and definitely give him some love. That's all I've got to say here. Peace and love, and ciao.
So I have to say, I genuinely want to take the time to thank every single person that appeared in this video, and I'm going to try and name them all without any cuts. Make sure I can remember this as I should. So we've got Anthony A. Perez, we've got the Big Rob Theory, we've got Rashad from Rashad G Reviews, we've got Q from Q Reviews as well in this. We've got Jacob Martin. We've got Dave from Interpreting the Stars. We've got Blacktastic Media back onto the channel. We've also got Stephanie from I'll Buy the Popcorn, who is brand new into this channel also. We've got Sydney Volpe, who's also brand new, going to be coming onto the channel very shortly. We've got my friend Adam from his channel called What the Gym. We've got Tyler Babb also in this, and the last person I can't forget about who joined us and helped us in this is a good friend called Alex from A-Town Reviews. So if you're interested in any of the channels, which why wouldn't you be interested, go subscribe to each and every single one of them, which all their links respectively are in the description box below. They all have awesome unique content to their own respective channels, and they definitely are part of this huge YouTube community group created by Anthony A. Perez. And generally just thank you to each and every single one of them who, when I approached about this, they took it on board immediately and wanted to be a part of it. So I hope you guys have really enjoyed this take on why YouTubers love Back to the Future. If you have, please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't, and let me know in the comments box below, have you seen Back to the Future? And if you have, leave your comments and let me know why you love Back to the Future. If you haven't, then definitely go check out this movie. But until the next time that I see you guys, I'll be seeing you later.